Hey guys, Melvin here, and as you can see, I was able to recover the Voodoo podcast. Yay me! Let me tell you, it was a chore. But I'm happy that I was able to get as much back as possible, at least a big enough chunk that warrants an upload. Yeah, there are a few things cut out, but it is what it is. I'm satisfied with what I was able to recover, though. Before we get into the podcast, I just want to say a few things. As you know, this was recorded weeks ago now, so when you hear me say episode 3, it's not episode 3 of the podcast. It's more like episode 5, I believe. And a disclaimer as well. You know, I go over some of the nicer parts of Voodoo. I don't really talk about the deep, dark parts of it because it's not warranted in this. Saying that there are dark parts to Voodoo, and anyone with no experience, or even if you do have experience, I would recommend you not do it at all. This is something that takes years upon years of research, learning, understanding, because you're dealing with very old, very powerful spirits, and some are a lot meaner and angrier than others. So, if you're tempted to fool around with voodoo or try a spell or something, don't do it. It's not worth it. And if that itch just won't go away, then seek out a mumbo or a hugan, maybe even a bokul, but just don't do it on your own. There are consequences to fooling around with things like this, especially when you don't understand it. Alright, so with that said, enjoy the podcast. Hello and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities Podcast, Episode 3. I'm your host, Melvin the Crimson Taurus, and with me is my partner in crime, Rose the Alienqueen.
Hey guys,
So, how you doing today, Rose?
I'm pretty good. Just chilling in the air conditioning because it's really hot in Queensland right now.
Oh, it's winter over here. It's cold, and, I don't like the cold at all.
I don't like the heat.
Oh, I love the heat.
I'll swap ya.
Oh, any day. So, what is today's topic?
We are going to talk about voodoo.
Voodoo.
Yes.
What type of voodoo? You had a mind fart.
Well, there's more than one different type of voodoo. There's quite a few different aspects of voodoo. But you would like to talk about the main voodoo, where it originated from?
No.
No?
No, you're confusing people now.
Now you're confusing me.
No, we're gonna talk about Haitian voodoo.
Haitian, that's the word I was looking for.
Yes, Haitian voodoo. So, I don't know where you were going.
I don't know either. You're the voodoo expert, so I'm just gonna let you do all the talking.
Well, that's no fun. People want to hear your sexy voice.
Well, I'll ask the questions, buddy.
Alright, so, voodoo. What is it? Well, it's religion. That's right. Voodoo is a religion. Did you know that, Rose?
Yes, I did know.
Yeah. A lot of people they don't know that. They think it's magic and zombies and people throwing chicken bones and cutting off heads and stuff like that. Chicken heads, that is, not a human head.
Hope not.
So, and it's a lot of misconceptions about voodoo, and part of it's thanks to Hollywood, and the other part is thanks to other religious groups trying to make it into something it's not. So, that's how it is sometimes, but it's very, very many misconceptions, and I'm hoping that we can squash a few of them and get some people interested in voodoo, not necessarily to practice it, but just to do some research and read up on it and the history, because it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
So, do you know where voodoo originates from?
Africa.
What part of Africa?
Was it the Slave Beach?
Slave
Nope.
Coast.
Yeah, the area where they basically when the slaves ended up going from Africa to all over the world.
Yes, okay. So, voodoo comes from a small country named Benin, and I know I'm butchering that name. The people in that country, the Fawn people, they're believed to be the first ones to practice voodoo. Of course, it wasn't called voodoo, it was voodoo over there. And that is the origins. It's from Western Africa, and where Benin was located is part of the slave coast, where, like you said, they would gather slaves and take them across the Atlantic in the slave trade. And as you know, that had a big part in playing into how a lot of now black Americans, as well as Haitians and such, got over here, which it's a dark history, but it's still our history, and we have to accept it.
Okay.
So, voodoo, though, it's an interesting religion. It really is, because it's almost like if you practice it, in public and people know about it and such, they look at you like, oh, you're a devil worshiper. There's something wrong with you. You're evil. When there's actually no devil in voodoo. Not one. They have Loa, which are spirits, and I'll get into that a little later, and they have a creator god. And for those who don't know, his name is Bon Dia. Well, I can't say his. It's an it. But for this, we always say he. So, I don't know. Maybe because we're all chauvinistic. But Bon Dia it translates to good God, and he is the creator god, the supreme being, who's benevolent but indifferent in voodoo. And that means...
Sorry, does anyone actually know what he looks like?
Nope, because he could take on different looks. Yeah.
Okay.
So for all we know, he looks like a human mixed with an elephant. I mean.
So he's not a man with a beard sitting on the clouds waiting for people to die and go to heaven.
No, I think you just talked about Saint Peter.
I'm sorry, I don't know much about religion.
So, but no, Bon Dia is the creator god, and he is the one who started it all. He created us, he created the earth, he created the spirits. And as I was saying, he's benevolent but indifferent, which means that he is good, but he kind of lets things happen and let them unfold on their own. But he doesn't do anything to harm anyone intentionally. It's just, this is where the dice falls, Is it fair? Probably not. Is there a reason behind it? Most likely. And a lot of times it has to do with self-growth. So before I get deep into the lore of it, let's talk a bit more about the actual history of it. And then we'll get into the fun stuff. So, what do you know about the history of voodoo, Rose? Or Haitian voodoo, more specifically.
You're asking the wrong person.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, so Haitian voodoo, like I said earlier, it comes from Africa because of the slaves and everything. And it was adapted, or rather they adapted some forms of saints from French Catholicism. So it's a lot of French saints in Haitian voodoo, and the reason for this is because if they practiced their faith, they would get beat and whipped, and it was a no-no. You don't do this. So they changed the Loa spirits, and I'll explain what a Loa is a little later, because they're interesting guys, very interesting. But they had to change the spirits that they prayed to into saints. They combined them together. So while it appears that they're praying to Saint Peter, they're really praying to they're praying to a Loa named Papa Legba. And it might appear they're praying to Jesus, but they're really praying to someone else. Or if they're praying to Mary Magdalene, they're actually praying to Mama Brigette. So they had to hide their faith in a faith that was already accepted, which is a messed up thing you have to do, but you do what you have to do. That was a weird statement there. That was a weird choice of words I had. So we have Haitian voodoo there. We have the original, of course, Voodoo. We have Haitian voodoo, and then we have a third type of voodoo known as Louisiana voodoo, aka New Orleans voodoo. And this is the one that Hollywood tends to play on the most. And the reason for this is because Louisiana voodoo, it's a giant mixing bowl. It has Catholic influence, Haitian voodoo influence, as well as Native American influence and a few other folk magic influences. So it's just a little bit of everything. Now, I'm not going to say that Louisiana voodoo isn't true voodoo, but I am going to say that some of the stuff they deal with, it's just so mixed up, it's hard to find out or figure out what is what. Are you with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
They can't see that.
Oh, sorry. Thumbs up!
There you go. Okay, so voodoo, actually, it came to the U.S. thanks to free slaves from Hades. And you might be asking yourself, okay, so how did the slaves get free in Hades? Well, the Haitian Revolution. Oh yeah. Now, and this is where things start getting fun. And I have my notes here, so if you hear like papers rustling like that, that's just me, and I'm just looking at my notes to make sure I have everything as accurate and correct as possible. So, the Haitian Revolution, this is what brought voodoo to the U.S. partially. In 1791, there was a very famous and very important ceremony that happened. And again, I'm about to butcher the name. Bois Caimon. That was the place where the ceremony took place, and it is the most important in Haitian voodoo history thing to ever occur. The ceremony began the Haitian Revolution. It's believed that the spirit of one of the Loa, Azelia Dantor, who possessed the priestess and received a black pig as an offering. All those that took place at the ceremony, they took a pledge to fight for their freedom. This resulted in the liberation of Hades. Okay? Like, I don't know, because I don't know if I wanted to say, wow, this is totally 100% legit, and I don't want to discredit it either and say, oh, it's just a bunch of mythology mumble jumble, because anything is possible. But I do think it's amazing that there is historic proof of a ceremony taking place, and the Haitians did beat the French. And the French colonial French anyway, they went back home into the Americas, and they were like, hey man, these guys did something. It was like fighting demons. Like, it wasn't normal. This was nuts. And because the Haitians, they won against the French, they actually established the first black people republic, which is unheard of. And they're also technically the first and only successful slave revolt in history. I mean, I think that's a big deal. What about you, Rose?
Yeah.
So, the free slaves from Hades, they came to the Americas, particularly the South, Louisiana and New Orleans, and they were trying to practice their beliefs again. But there was a fear of that because the French, they were spreading the propaganda, if you can say, that they used some type of magic to beat us. And the powers that be at the time, they were afraid of a successful revolution over here, and so they outlawed voodoo, and they created this propaganda and saying like it's devil's worship and this and that, and if you were caught doing it, chances are you have to face capital punishment. It just wasn't pretty. And again, though, this is why a lot of the voodoo practitioners at the time, they fused their beliefs with Catholicism. And when some more of the Haitians came over here, they hooked up with Native Americans, and some of them hooked up with the Christian beliefs and everything, and it started to mix and blend in together, and Louisiana voodoo was created. But also with Louisiana voodoo, it focuses more on the magic and less of the religion. I hope that makes sense to you guys.
I understand what you mean. How, like modern day voodoo, like a lot of the people would be just more focusing on your spells and your just rituals and stuff.
Exactly. And you know what that's called?
Crap, I can't remember.
It's hoodoo.
Hoodoo, that's it, that's the word.
Yep, hoodoo.
Yes. Sorry, you can explain what hoodoo is.
Hoodoo, firstly, it only exists in the U.S. It's not in Hades, it's not in Africa. It was born in the U.S., and it is the folk magic. It's just the magic of voodoo, not the belief of the Loa. It's not the religion, so the Loa aren't involved, or there's no God or nothing like that. It's just the magic. And this is what Hollywood preys on.
Yeah, they're saying that hoodoo is pretty much everything to do with voodoo, which is not true at all. Voodoo's got a lot more history behind it than just doing your spells and your summonings and stuff
and
like
your
that.
Curses and so it's voodoo is pretty in depth, but hoodoo is just the magic, and a lot of people they get confused with hoodoo and voodoo because they think the voodoo is just all magic and stuff, and they don't know it's a religion to it.
Yeah.
So they get confused with that. So I hope that's cleared up for a few people who didn't know. But pretty simple. Hoodoo, just magic. Voodoo, magic, religion, the whole 9 yards. Okay, so now in the voodoo belief, as I was saying earlier, there is one God, and that is Bon Dieu, and that translates to good God, like James Brown, good God, y'all. And he's the supreme creator of all. Bon Dieu, excuse me, the names are a bit tough to pronounce. Bon Dieu, he created man and spirits and law. Okay, so I should explain right now, because I know it's going to be a bit confusing. You have law and loa. Same exact thing, it's just a different way of um, of pronouncing it. One is spelled LWA, and the other one is spelled LOA, and they're interchangeable. So you might hear me say La at one point or Lo at another point. Same exact spirit. So I'm sorry for the confusion on that, if there is any. So yes. Anyway, Bon Dia created the Loa, and they are basically servants of his, and the different people who practice voodoo, they create altars, they pray to them, much in the same regard that people pray to angels or saints for guidance, help, protection. When you're in need, that's who you pray to. Because Bon Dieu, again, he's benevolent but indifferent. So he's not always around, to say the least. But these guys, they're here to help you, and they live in the spirit realm, not the mortal realm. And there are rules in contacting them, if that makes sense. You can't just say, hey, Papa Gide, get over here. Actually, that's a bad example, because you could kind of say that for him. Hey, Marionette, get over here. There we go. No, you can't do that. It's for your protection, others' protection, their protection. They have a little built-in fail-safe.
And they normally, depending on who you contact, they normally want something in return.
Yes, they're
not going to do something for free, put it that way.
Yeah, there are offerings that you can do, and depending on how big of the offering, well, it depends on their mood. It could be big, it could be small. And then if you're lucky, you might just have to wear some colors. I'm not even joking. They'll say, wear red. Like, what? Red? That's it? Yes, wear red. So there are 3 tiers to voodoo. You have Bon Dieu, who is the number 1, and as he's the creator. You have the Loa, who are second, and they're the servants to Bon Dieu, and they interact with us, the mortals, or humans. And then you have number 3, which is us, mortals. You don't necessarily do the rituals to summon a law, because they can be summoned. If you need help, you can invoke a ritual and summon them, hopefully. But they have people specifically for that. And again, forgive me for butchering the words. I practiced them, but it's just not going to come out right. But you have a Hungan, which is a male voodoo priest, and Mambo, which is a female voodoo priest. Female voodoo priest, or priestess, if you were. And then, of course, you have something that's a bit more negative, a Bokul. Simply put, that is a bad voodoo priest. They're the ones that will put hexes on someone or curse and just mess them up. We don't like them very much.
How do you tell the difference between a demonic spirit and a bad Loa?
Well, here's the thing. There's no such thing as a bad Loa.
It's just...
Loa are Loa. There are different types of Loa, yes,
okay.
Which I'll get into right now, actually. You see, with the Loa, they're spirits, of course. They have, and most of them were human, and they have their own moods. They have free thinking. They do what they want, depending. And they're a part of families. The 3 big families, or at least that's what I call them, are the Rada, the Petro, excuse me. I want to say Petro because it's spelled Petro, but it's pronounced Pethro. Or you can also say Petu. But the Petro Loa and the Gide, who are my favorite. And I will tell you why later on. I love the Gide. And the Rada Loa, They are old world Loa. They're more benevolent. They're a bit nicer, in other words. Their roots are found in Africa, and they they're more likely to help you in a nice manner. The Pethroloa, they're not evil, but they're more aggressive. And this is where the answer to your question comes. The Pethroloa, they are very, very aggressive, mean, but not evil. They just do things in a harsher way. So for instance, oh, and I should say before I get to my example, the Petroloa, they are New World Loa spirits, if you may. And they were born from the anger and the hurt and the pain from the slaves and what they had to deal with. So when they summoned the Radaloa, it was a type of turn in them because of the negative energy and such. And so they have Petro counterparts. So some of them are pure Petro Loa, New World Loa, and then some of them are Old World Loa, but they turn into a Petro Loa depending on the circumstances. Now to my example between the two. So a Radaloa, let's say, comes to your home and they know you're inside and the door is unlocked. They could just open it and walk in. They have permission. Well, instead, they're going to be polite and they knock on the door and they have you open it. You know, they don't want to disrupt you per se. Whereas a Pethroloa, they know you're home. You know, they know they can come in if they want. So they walk up to the door and instead of knocking, they just break the door down. Just BAM! And they come on in and they make sure you know they're there. So, same results, just a different way of getting it. So
sounds very scary.
It can be scary because they're just aggressive. And one is not more powerful than the other. It's just one is more aggressive with what they do.
So do these lower spirits, do they take on the form of a human, or can they...
They do have human forms, and then they have other forms, but mostly it's human. But
can they possess animals and stuff and come to you?
Some of them are represented by animals. Marionette, for example, the screech owl represents her, so it's possible when you hear or see a screech owl, it could be her flying by.
Okay.
And I'll be speaking about her also. She's interesting. And the difference between a Loa and a demonic spirit is a demonic spirit is intentionally evil and mad and just gonna hurt you. You know, it's just a natural thing for them.
And lower spirits are from the spirit world, right? And demonic spirits can be from God knows where.
Exactly.
Like,
I mean,
they can be from a different dimension.
Exactly. So, and a demonic spirit, you know, they're going to hurt you no matter what. A Loa, they're not going to hurt you if you're the ones who summon them, not intentionally anyway.
So I've actually been researching a little bit on demonic spirits just to learn more about what exactly they are, and a lot of them in your mythologically history and all that, they are described as like a lot of weird looking half animal, half human creatures, and they're very bizarre.
They're interesting hybrids.
They're very interesting, yes. And then a lot of those more, I guess they come to you in more of a human form, unless they feel comfortable in a different form.
Yeah, so...
But they're a lot nicer. I'd rather meet a Loa than meet a Loa.
Yeah, well, Loa, they are... a lot of them are former
But either
humans.
way, you invite one in. But either way, you can either invite which one into your life. If you invite something, it's possible it might come.
So just, yeah, be careful.
So how for someone out there that might be interested in mucking around with this stuff, what would you say to someone that wants to invite a Loa into their life? Like, what would you say to them if they tried to do that, or if they wanted to do that?
If they want to do it, then I would say seek out a professional and study the history of voodoo first. Like, it's always good to know your history and understand why it's not just something you do because it's cool, and possibly find a mambo or a hongun. I know I am butchering that word. Find a voodoo priest or priestess and speak it over with them and have them do a ritual. But I would also say, ask yourself, why do you want to do this? What's the purpose? I mean, if it's just to try and see something, then
it's not going to turn out very good.
It's not going to turn out good. Nothing's going to happen. But if it's because you need something, or you want to learn more about it, or you want to experience something new that'll help you grow, then yeah, seek out a voodoo priest or priestess. Do it that way. Don't do it on your own, because chances are you're going to mess up and do something stupid, and yeah, that's what I would say to them.
And I would highly suggest not even wanting to look at anything to do with demonic spirits. Stay well away from that.
Yes, you know all about that, don't you?
Yes, but I have been doing my research, and it's not because I'm obsessed with demonic spirits. I just really want to know my information when it comes to things that I don't understand. So I do my research to get more knowledge. That's all I do. I don't get I'm not obsessed with it. I'm just trying to see what everything is about and the history behind it and all that.
You're trying to understand it.
Yeah.
Okay. That I can understand that.
And from what I've researched, anything demonic is not good, so you stay away from it completely. 100% stay away from them.
Okay.
They are not nice, they lie, they manipulate people, and they do whatever they can to possess you, because that's what they do.
Okay, so
the lower seem like a lot nice spiritual entities. They seem a lot nicer.
They're here to help us,
But to call upon a lower, you better have a better good reason to call upon a lower.
Yeah, I mean, how would you like it if you're kicking it somewhere and someone just rings you up and like, quick, it's an emergency, and you get there and it's like,
and you're just like, what am I doing here? Like,
yeah, it's like, no, just kidding. I'd be mad, and they will punish you for that.
Yes.
They believe in punishing, so you will get punished for that. Nothing too bad. I mean, you might have bad luck for a week, but you'll know. Okay, so Rose, what do you know about voodoo dolls?
Ooh, voodoo dolls. Well, from what I've seen, I mean, this has probably got to do with Hollywood and stuff as well, is voodoo dolls are, I think they're mostly handmade by the person doing it, and they stick needles in certain places of that doll, and then that's supposed to afflict real-life pain to the person that they've cast the spell on.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. That is 100% true Hollywood.
Yes, I know it's true Hollywood. I'm sorry. I don't... I've only seen what I see on TV.
Yes. Okay. So voodoo dolls, for the most part, it's not really in Haitian voodoo. It's in Louisiana, New Orleans voodoo. That's the first problem. And it's... Voodoo dolls... What's the word? Hollywood has really warped them. We'll put it that way. Okay, so the idea of sticking a pin in them that inflicts pain on someone, that is totally not true. Voodoo dolls are not made to inflict pain on anyone. What the pin is for is actually attaching a personal item or a picture of the person onto the doll. So if I were to make a doll of you, I have some of your hair and a picture of you, how am I going to get it to stick to the doll? I use a pin. So, yeah, but they're not torture devices.
So why would a person make a voodoo doll to represent someone? Why would someone do that?
Because they are made to they're made to appease the spirits for one thing, and to give them good luck and such. What happens is you ask a law, or spirit rather, to help them if they're dealing with something hard, some struggles in their life. But for torture and stuff, no. And usually the little garlic and peppers or whatever the little necklaces they make and put around them, that's just to appease the spirits. It's not to make a super spell. It's not to make sure they feel the pain. No, it's complete opposite. They're made for good fortune more so than anything. And I will say this as well. In voodoo, dolls aren't really haunted. They don't do that. That's not voodoo spirit dolls are. That's very funny. You guys can't see it, but anyway, voodoo dolls are just voodoo dolls. They're empty little dolls that's used to help a person get good fortune. But on the flip side, there are some bokur that can use them and try and inflict the hex on a person or a curse. But that's very, very rare. But they're used for good fortune, bring you good luck, and happy thoughts and all that jazz. So Hollywood is totally warped what they are. And then voodoo dolls, they don't serve a big purpose in Haitian voodoo. So I'm glad we cleared
that clears that out of the way,
yes.
So people understand. Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's been something that's been going around for decades. Decades. What else would you like to know that you're interested about?
What about the shrunken heads and all that kind of thing to do? I think that's more the hoodoo stuff, but
yeah, that's hoodoo. I actually know nothing about that because I can't answer that, unfortunately.
Because a lot of the things that I've been misinterpreted by from TV and stuff is hoodoo. Well, hoodoo that they say voodoo. Hoodoo is like very, very evil and dark and negative energy.
And got to do with,
it's got to do with them, with the shrunken heads and the voodoo dolls and the spells and all that stuff. It just looks so like bad.
Yeah, but no, it isn't.
So it's cancel out what you see on TV in Hollywood. Let's just cancel that out.
Okay.
What about that voodoo person that's on the Pirates of the Caribbean?
Which?
She's got like the black lips.
Oh, Calypso, that chick?
Yeah.
I don't even know where
that character. Did they make that character off a real voodoo?
I don't think so.
Don't think so? Okay.
No, I mean, it's weird because her name's Calypso. Her real name's Calypso, and that's Greek mythology there. So I don't know what's up with her. She's just all mixed up.
She did a very interesting character on that movie. Let's just say that.
Yeah,
but it's got nothing to do with voodoo.
No, but here's an interesting character in voodoo, Papa Legba.
Yes, I've heard that name several times. Let's hear about him.
Yes, Papa Legba, and I'm speaking about him first because traditionally, you start every ceremony off with Papa Legba because he's the Loa of the crossroads and the gatekeeper, and he's also an intermediary between Loa and humanity. So he's the one who you ask if you can see, for instance, if you can see Baron La Cruz, and he either says yes or no, depending. He's kind of the fail-safe. And he'll travel, go get him, come back, and when the ceremony's done, puts them back and closes the gates and all that, severs everything, and everyone's on their merry way. No, but that's I'm being too simplistic because he's way more interesting than that. Okay, so firstly, he speaks all languages. Yes, all languages. English, Spanish, Swahili, French. He speaks it all. And like I already said, he's the first and last invoked in the ceremony because he's the gatekeeper and he decides whether you can or cannot communicate with the Loa or other spirits in Guini. And I should have mentioned this earlier, but I struggle saying this word. But Guini is the spirit realm where the Loa reside. Try saying that, Rose. Guini.
Guini.
Well, not bad.
It sounds Italian.
Get your Guini, yeah? Yes, so Legba, though, he appears as an old man on a crutch or with a cane, wearing a broad-brimmed straw hat, and he's smoking a pipe, or he has a water can and he'll sprinkle water and stuff, like he's watering the grass. Not entirely sure why that is, but hey, it is what it is. His Catholic counterparts, so if you see a voodoo practitioner and they're praying to a candle but it has a white guy on it with a beard and stuff, is Saint Peter, who is the gatekeeper for heaven. He checks and see if your name's in the book, if you're all right, and if you've done good and you could pass by. So I thought that was interesting. The two gatekeepers resemble each other for the most part. His day of the week is Monday. So people who follow Legba, who worship him, they do most of their worshiping on Monday. And he's accompanied by either a black dog or a black rooster. Don't ask me why. I don't know.
Those.
I know you do.
If I see a puppy dog, I'd be like, "Come here, puppy dog, I want to pet you."
His colors are black and red, and his number's 3. And 3 has a significance in pretty much all religions, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, that stuff. So anyway, Legba, you can always find him on the crossroads, and this led to a few different myths, which I'll get into towards the back end of this. But he deals with the crossroads, and it's said that on your path in life, when you're stuck, when you're confused, and you don't know what to do, go to a crossroad and pray to Legba, and he will appear, and he'll give you guidance, he'll help you out.
So, would you recommend that for me?
If you want.
I want to do an experiment now. I want to do that. That sounds interesting.
It is interesting, and I mean, but still, do it at your own risk. Anyone out there listening, do so at your own risk. I'm not saying do it. She might be, but I'm not. So, do so at your own risk. But he's at all crossroads, and honestly, if you're confused or lost and you don't know which path to take, you go to a crossroads, get there before midnight, and ask Papa Legba for guidance, and ask him if he can help you find your way. And you'll get an answer. You'll always get an answer, and it may not be the answer you want, but it's the one that you'll need.
I like it.
The thing with Legba too is he also governs choice. He believes in choice. Everyone has a choice. You can choose to do this, you can choose to do that. And sometimes he'll present you with different choices and paths just to test you. And if you fail, he'll just throw it right back at you until you pass and you get it. So, and also, he's a bit of a trickster. He likes to have a little bit of fun. So, it's nothing too bad, but
So to summon this person, we've got to go to a crossroads just before midnight, and you just ask to speak to them?
Well,
You just shout out? Just go.
I'm putting it in simple terms because I actually don't want people to go out and do this because it could be dangerous.
So you're not going to give me all the good stuff, are you?
I'll tell you when we're done recording.
Oh, okay.
If you really want to know, I'll tell you.
I'm interested in knowing. I don't know if I would go and do it though, but.
Oh yes, you would. I know your personality. You're a daredevil.
It sounds real interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, he's a bit of a trickster, but he wants you to leave your comfort zone. He wants you to understand that it's more to life than just being in your little bubble. Leave your comfort zone, explore, enjoy, and take a deeper look at what it is we believe is to be so correct when really it isn't. So he's that type of guy, and he's very, very wise because he's been here a long, long time, and he's the keeper of man's history. So that means that he is a very good storyteller. Extremely good. I wish I could be as good as him. And the reason he's a good storyteller is because it influences people, it inspires them, and it helps them choose a path and make a choice, and it'll better them in life. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think he's pretty awesome, dude. Sounds pretty cool.
He's interesting.
So, are we going to talk about a different Loa now?
Well, I'm going to say the offerings that he likes.
Oh, okay, yep, okay.
The offerings are the offerings are candy, rum, your drink of choice, I believe, rum and Coke.
Yes. Rum and Coke is so good, but it's very fattening if you drink it a lot.
Yeah. So candy, rum, tobacco, black coffee, grilled chicken.
Now, what would he do if you gave him all of these things at once? Would he just absolutely go nuts?
Here's the thing. Sometimes he might decide what he wants and take that and leave everything else.
Fair enough.
So, we don't know. Or he might just tell you what he wants and you could bring it to him next time. If
someone was to summon a lot and you're doing all this the right way, do you actually physically get to see the person, the Loa? Maybe
sometimes. Okay, so here's the thing. Usually when they do rituals like this, you're in a group. You have a group of people, and it's a voodoo priest or priestess that's actually doing everything because they're trained in it, they understand it, and they have a connection to the Loa. And they have a designated person who will get possessed because the Loa comes and they'll ride them, as they say. They'll possess them. And when that happens, they'll do dances and stuff like that. They use drums actually to help the Loa with it. And since we're on that, this is actually where some of the animal sacrifices come to play. And the reasoning for the animal sacrifices is not to torture the animal or anything like that. It's not because they're sadistic. They believe that when they take the animal's life, and they try to do it as humanely and as quick as possible, they are giving the Loa energy and food so it can pass on, so it can come into the physical mortal world easier, and it can sustain its ability to stay here a little longer. That's why they do the sacrifices.
Yeah, see, with any type of religion or ritual, I really am against that.
I know, but the good thing...
I would curse someone out if I witnessed someone doing that. That's just wrong on many levels.
Yeah. The thing, too, is they don't let it go to waste after they kill it. They do prepare a feast, everyone eats and stuff like that. So, it's not like one and done, throw it away. Which,
well, in some Satanism rituals, they do it deliberately just to hurt the animal, and
So, but they don't do that in Voodoo. But,
well, that's alright.
But yeah, so usually when a ritual happens, the person who's designated anyway, they'll get possessed, and they, you know what a possession is. The Loa
Yeah.
will take over their body, and sometimes their features will change slightly, and their personality will change, and yeah, and they'll take on the personality of that Loa, you know, and they'll start, depending on who it is, they might dance around, they might bow, you know, things of that nature. And then other times, if you're by yourself and you're doing this, then yeah, you might have a vision or of whom you're trying to summon or speak to. You know, it may not happen right then and there, but it could happen when you least suspect it, like a calling card's being left, like I was here. You'll know. Believe me, you will know. You can't help but know. So with Papa Legba, like I said, he'll appear as an old man, straw hat, cane or crutch, watering grass for some reason, at the crossroads, right before midnight. When it hits midnight, he should pop up in some way or another. So he may not be there physically, but spiritually he'll be there, and he'll guide you. And finally with him, it's believed that if you place an image of Legba behind the front of your door, like the front door, it'll clear out and keep out all negative energy. So
That's a pretty good idea.
I hope that's true. I mean, you know, because I know in Hoodoo, brick dust is said to keep out negative energy. So that is Papa Legba. He is the guy that opens and closes the ceremonies, who you talk to first, who you speak to if you're lost in life and you need guidance, and if you want to learn history and have a good story.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I like this guy.
You're going to research him?
Well, I've just looked up his name and went onto images, and it's all Hollywood stuff. So there's pictures of a guy with like the top hat and the face makeup and
Oh, that's Baron Samdi. I'll
Yes,
talk
well,
about him in a second.
he's popped up. He's got dreadlocks. He looks actually quite nice looking, but he's got red eyes. He's kind of scary looking.
Okay, so I should say that Papa Legba, he is a Rada Loa, meaning he's old world. So he's old. But
Yes.
he also has a Petro or Petu form or aspect. And his name is Kalfu. And he's also around the crossroads. He controls the crossroads, and he has the power to grant or deny access to all other lower spirits. But he's more aggressive, okay? Because he's new world, and he was created, and he came from anger. And with him, he allows bad luck and deliberate destruction, misfortune, and injustice. So he's not nice when he's Kalfu. And when he mounts a person, or rather when he rides someone, everyone at the service, they stop speaking because he allows evil Loa, even though they're not really evil, they're just saying evil for lack of a better word, but he allows them to come into the ceremony. For instance, Marionette, he would allow her to pop up and come in and do some stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
you don't want that.
So who's this marionette you keep mentioning?
Oh, Marionette. I know you know a little teeny bit about her.
She seems like my type of Loa.
Okay, so remember how I was telling you about the Haitian Revolution?
Yes.
Okay. Well, as you know, when it happened, it was believed that there was a male voodoo priest and a female voodoo priest, a priestess, if you will, and they were the ones who were doing the ceremony for, and this is a tough name for me to say. So, and again, I know I'm going to butcher it. I don't mean to butcher it. I hate butchering it, but Ezeli Dontor to come. And Ezeli Dontor, she is a Petruloa, and she is the Loa of motherhood, single motherhood, and she's represented by the Black Madonna. If you guys don't know what that is, just look it up. It's, you know, mother and baby, pretty much. Anyway, she is the spirit who came, and the Mambo, or Voodoo priestess, who sacrificed the pig to bring her into the world and into possession to start the revolution, was none other than Marionette Wa Che, which translates to Marionette of the Dry Hands. And Marionette is a very feared Loa. And I mean, she is feared. She's a Petroloa, and she was burned alive.
Now that's gonna really suck.
Oh yeah, that's why she's so angry. One of the reasons. But she was a slave. You have to understand, she was a slave. She used to have shackles, get beat, all of that, and you know, she's the one, or one of two, who helped start the Haitian Revolution. And the French, they found out, they got her, they beat her, tortured her, burnt her alive, and it's believed that she looks like a skeleton now because she was burnt alive. And she carries that anger and animosity, and when she's summoned, it's because you want to do someone harm. But the thing with her is, and like I said, there's no such thing as an evil Loa, not in my opinion anyway. They're just, you have some that are more aggressive than others, but they all have a lesson to teach you.
But she also has a reason to be like that.
Exactly. She, after her death, I should say, after her human death, she was elevated to Loa because of what she did to start the Haitian Revolution, to free her people, and the sacrifice she made for them.
She did good, but then she ended up having a really horrible death, and now that's why she's so angry.
That's one of the reasons. You know, I'd be mad, but the other is, of course, being taken from your home, your slave. You know, you can't practice your beliefs, and yeah. So, Marionette, though, everything she does is aggressive. Everything. And she represents, though, even though she's feared, she represents the breaking of bonds that hold people. Okay. She reminds us that the path to freedom, or any path, can be and is painful and not without loss, but in the end is ultimately worth it. So she's the one who reminds us that, yeah, I'm going to do my thing. It's going to hurt, and I'm intentionally going to make it painful so you don't, you know, to try and make you quit, to realize that life hurts. It sucks sometimes, but you can get through it. You know, you can do it. And sometimes it gets lost in translation because she is so aggressive. When she rides someone, they're known to get injuries, and then when she's summoned, it says never summon her in a house because she's known to cause fires. She's so fiery, she causes fires. And one of her things is fire. She's a fire woman.
Well, she gives back what she got given.
Exactly. And she could put on a few hexes. You know, she could put a hex on a person.
So what would the reason for someone to, like, why would they call upon her? Like, if she needed to be called upon, what would the reason be?
Someone made you mad, that's what. or they did you real dirty.
She's good at giving people.
They're just desserts. She's a revenge type of person.
So if I knew someone that got maybe raped and murdered, I knew who did it, would I could call upon her to go, hey.
Actually, you would not.
I need you to do something.
You would not, because if they were murdered and abused like that, there is another law specifically for that, and I will get into them after Marionette. It's very interesting you said that. That makes me excited. But you would not call her. She, for the most part, she'll deal with living people and to teach them a lesson on not to do this again, and that life is hard, but keep on trucking. She's more of that. But for someone who was murdered and stuff, yeah, that's totally different dude who is in the Gide family. And the Gides, they deal with life and death, because you can't have life without death. You can't have death without life. It's a cycle. But Marionette, she's represented by a screech owl, and she's often seen as a protector of werewolves.
Ooh, I like werewolves.
I don't quite understand that, actually. So I've been researching it, trying to find an answer as to why werewolves, but I don't know yet. But she's a protector of them. Her colors are red and black, awesome colors.
Yeah, I like those colors too.
And her offerings are black pig or black roosters, but the roosters have to be plucked alive.
Okay.
Yeah, she's an interesting one.
Doesn't she like blood? Doesn't she like blood?
She likes blood, yes.
Yes. And wine. Like, you could give her wine instead of blood.
No, you gotta give her blood. Again, this is why the animal sacrifices are there. So, with Marionette, I should say too, if you're gonna summon her, do so. Sorry everyone, had a technical difficulty, so we're back, and let's continue on. So, when you're about to summon Marionette, it's best to do it away from your house, because she's known to burn down places, and it's a bit weird with her, because you're supposed to go to a forest-like area because she likes to be by herself. But at the same time, if you need her for something, you have to seek her out. But then she says, you don't come to her, she comes to you. And if you ignore that warning and you try and find her and you bug her and anything like that, then, well, you might get punished for it. So my advice would to be, have a group of people, have a mambo or a hogan, a priestess or priest, and let them deal with it. Or if you're by yourself, do whatever and get out. Or else it will be bad for you, because again, she is very aggressive and she has a short temper, and she's known to cut people and make them bleed and all that, and blood, it just gives her energy. So, not evil, just aggressive and short-tempered.
Sounds very interesting.
Yeah, she is interesting because of what she went through. But again, if it weren't for her, who knows? Maybe the Haitians never would have started the revolution. It's just something to think about. It really is something to think about. So, what else would you like to know, Rose?
Is there anything else that you haven't really discussed about voodoo that people wouldn't be aware of?
Well, here's something. Oh, I can't believe I didn't say this. Oh, are you familiar with Faustinian myth?
No.
Faustinian myth, well, Faust was a person who they said sold his soul to the devil, and it's Faustinian myth, so he can gain in something. Well, Voodoo has its own Faustinian type myth, So Voodoo, it has its own little Faustinian myth type thing anyway. Are you familiar with Robert Johnson?
No.
Robert Johnson, or as the story goes, he was a blues guitarist from the 20s, and they said that he went to the crossroads one day and sold his soul to the devil,
Ooh.
hence the crossroads. However, that's not quite true because it's interesting. He died at the age of 27. He's part of the 27 Club, but the myth isn't quite right. It's attributed to him, but it shouldn't be because it's not from the 20s. It's from the 70s, and it came from Tommy Johnson, no relation. And it said that a relative of his, a cousin, said that Tommy Johnson, he told him he got his skills with the guitar by going to the crossroads about 5 minutes before 12 a.m. And when it hit 12, a man came and he got his guitar, he tuned it. Next thing you know, he was able to play any and everything. And that is the original myth, the original legend. And then they changed it and attributed it to Robert Johnson. And the person who allegedly came from the crossroads was Papa Legba. So, some little tidbit for you.
Cool.
Okay. So, Marionette. We just got done discussing about her. I'm looking at my notes again because I try to keep notes, stay semi-organized. Okay, so here we go. We're on to my favorite family. Do you know who those are?
Your favorite family?
My favorite Loa family.
Oh, it could be some word I can't pronounce.
I say family, but they also call them nations. It's the Gide.
Yeah.
The Gide deal with life and death. And the head of the Gide is Papa Gide. He's the good counterpart of Baron Samedi. Meaning that, think of it like the Rada and Petro aspects, but I'm not sure if those actually apply in this case. This is one of the few where it's a bit weird, but Papa Gide interacts with the living. Baron Samedi interacts more so with the dead, but he'll have interactions with the living as well. Papa Gide is really, really cool. He's very nice. He also hangs out at the crossroads, but he's a fairy person, which means that he takes the souls of the living to the afterlife, or the spirit realm, or Guani, as they say. So the Gide Loa deal with fertility and death, rather life and death, because, you know, fertility, it means somebody's getting pregos. Papa Gide is the head of the family. He's believed to be the first man to die. He wears top hats, smokes cigars, and for whatever reason he enjoys apples. I don't know why. I personally don't like them, but they say an apple a day keeps the doctor away, which is totally not true. That was created by the apple farmers so they could sell more product. As I already said, Papa Gide waits at the crossroads and takes souls to the afterlife. Now, this is something that's interesting. When children are dying, Papa Gide is prayed to. So, because the Gide, they have a special connection with children for whatever reason. And if a kid is dying before his time, he's sick, ill, he pray to Papa Gide and ask him to heal him, and pray, please, it's not his time. Can you heal him? And he also won't take anyone before their time unless it's the will of Bon Dieu. He's the only one who will be like, nope, it's happening, nothing you can do. So if God says you're dying, you're dying. He tends to know everything that happens in the world of the living and the dead. So what do you think about Papa Gide?
I don't really know yet.
Well, that's good because I am not interested in him. I'm interested in the so-called bad counterpart, Baron Samedi. That's who I like. He is, if I practice voodoo, he would be the guy I would worship. Like, I really like him. He's not evil, he's very lewd, but I'll get to him in a second because there are two other notable people in the Gide family that I find very interesting. The first one is Gide Nebo, and do you know the significance with him?
No.
He was the first person to be killed.
Like, yeah, out of the family.
No, in the world, he was believed to be the first man to ever get killed by another person.
So this would have been a very, very, very long ago.
Yes, a long, long time ago, and he guards the graves of people who died prematurely, or the people who were murdered. And he's also the voice of lost spirits, which means spirits without a body, for the most part. They were killed and their bodies were thrown away or something like that.
Is this the Lawa that I'd call upon if someone that I knew got murdered?
No, I'll get to that in a second. But this one though, like, if if a family member was killed, you pray to him for to help them safely across into the spirit realm and such, and to protect them or guide them if they're lost.
Okay.
Now, the one that you want, which you're so adamant about, his name is Baron Criminel.
Mm.
And that literally translates to Baron of Criminals. Now, do you know what's interesting about him?
No.
Of course not.
Haven't told me yet.
He's the first person to ever kill another person.
Oh.
You know what that means?
He's the one who killed the other dude.
Gide Nebo, yes. He's the one, and because of that deed, he was actually elevated to Allah. And he is known as the enforcer in the Gide family. You want someone beat down, like if they're dealing with a spirit who's a bit rougher and they're just hard-headed, they'll send him to collect them.
Ah.
And the thing with him is he's prayed to by the families of murder victims or abused to get revenge on those who wronged them.
Right.
So that's the guy that you want, and he's aggressive with it. He is aggressive. And
but he's the one who originally killed someone.
Yep, he's the world's first murderer.
So how does that other Loa feel about him? Because he killed her.
Well, the thing is, with the Gide family, I mean, I'm assuming he got over it, but with the Gide family, they view things differently because they understand that there's life after death, and death is not the end. So if someone dies or prematurely and things of that nature, yes, it's a tragedy.
They don't have any grudges.
But they don't hold grudges because it's more to life than that. They'll get another chance. It's more to it, and they believe in living life to the fullest. Anyway, their Baron counterparts do rather, and that's what's so interesting about them. Because it's like, yeah, you died. Get over it, man. Look, it's more to it. It's not over. You're still going. And I really like that aspect of it because it gives someone like me hope who doesn't really believe in a lot of things. But the other thing with Baron Criminel is he has horses. And these horses, they have an appetite that just can't be sustained, to where when they show up, they'll eat anything. Like, you have to give them offerings and stuff. If they don't like it, they'll bite you and start.
Are they like a zombie horse?
No. No, they're not like a zombie horse. I'll get to zombies in a second too. But they'll bite you, they'll start eating on you, they'll eat themselves. I mean, they're weird, man. I don't understand them, but they're kind of scary.
Cool.
But back to Papa Gide's bad counterpart, Baron Samedi. This guy, he's the man. Again, since he's Papa Gide, he was the first person to die, and he guards the cemeteries, escorts people from the world of the living to the spirit realm, and he is disruptive. He loves drinking rum. He smokes tobacco, and he's quite obscene.
Sounds like me on a good day.
He can also stop anyone from dying if he wants, unless Bondi, he says otherwise. Unless Bondia, he says, no, you're dead, sorry. So, but other than that, he can stop anyone from dying. He spends most of his time in the spirit realm, and he consistently tells filthy, dirty jokes. He has a very foul mouth. So he's always telling a dirty knock-knock joke. What I find interesting, though, is he's married to Maman Brigitte. I know you don't know who she is, but, well, if she's married to him, she's pretty much just as obscene as him. She'll drink some rum, but she likes hers with peppers in it. And she's a cursor and stuff of that nature. And this is what really got me. She's white. They're an interracial couple.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, and you don't see that a lot in religions. I mean, but yeah, they're an interracial couple. And I honestly, I found that so unique and interesting. The thing, too, with the Gides and the Barons, when they're summoned in a ritual or whatever, it's a lot of dancing and jiving, and they're quite possibly the creators of the freak dance. Bumping and grinding, all that.
That horrible dance that what is it? What's that country that they do that in?
Are you thinking of the Jamaicans, what they do?
Yeah, that stupid dance thing.
No, they don't.
They really hump each other on the dance floor. It's disgusting.
They don't do that. That's too extreme. I mean, they're extreme, but no, they don't. I don't think they do that per se. But they do freak dance. They love it, man, because they're very sexual because of life. How are you born? Yes, you do that. Yes, you get it on. And they believe in having fun and living it up and having a drink and stuff. Because again, they like life is short, enjoy it while you can. But don't worry, there's more life after death. The cool thing is too that even though he's married to her, he still chases around mortal women. He still runs after them. He loves them. And it's said that he's so fertile that just touching him could impregnate a woman.
Wow, that's cool. Like, is that so? If he touches someone, will that baby turn out like black or?
I don't know, but
that would be insane.
What's interesting, and I should have asked permission before saying this, so I hope they don't mind. I won't say any names, but a friend of mine, he may have inadvertently did a voodoo ritual and summoned Baron Samedi. Like, he had the right colors, he had the right offerings, and this happened after I was speaking to him about voodoo one day. I was just talking to him about it and such, and he said he actually saw the Baron and, freaked him out. It would freak me out. It would freak any normal person out. And it was
freak me out.
and it was just bizarre, So Baron
What?
Huh?
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Oh, Baron Samdi / Papa Gide, they don't necessarily follow the rules of having to speak to Papa Legba first because they're both at the crossroads. They both kick it there, but for different reasons. And he's powerful enough to where if you do the right ritual, he can come into this world without needing permission because he deals with life and death. And so that was very interesting that he told me this, and then through research I found out that he might be one of the few that you don't need a special Legba permission from Legba. The other thing with Baron Samdi is he's a life giver, which means that he can cure any disease or wound if he thinks it's worth it. Like he has this, it has to be worth his while. If he doesn't care, he's not going to do anything, and he'll just leave. Like, nope. He can get rid of curses and anything, even if it's inflicted by black magic. That won't stop him. That's his specialty. He specializes in black magic. And he also makes sure bodies aren't resurrected and turned into zombies. And I should probably explain the zombies thing because Hollywood has gone out of control with it.
Zombies.
In Voodoo, zombies aren't exactly mindless corpses that come back to life and looking for brains. Oh, if only you guys could see the face. They're not brains. No, zombies. Zombies, more or less, they act as servants for a Bokur who brought them back to life. They're an empty vessel. The spirit's gone and everything. They don't eat brains or nothing like that. They're just a servant. But Baron Samdi and the Gide family in general, they make sure that doesn't happen. So they keep them in the grave.
Which is good for us, living people.
Yeah. And his offerings are interesting because they depend 100% on his mood. It could be something as easy as wearing black and purple, or he might want a cigar, some rum, maybe some bread, or it could actually be as complex as performing a straight up ritual to help him cross over into the world of the living. So it depends on his mood, what you want, but with him, always offer him something. Him especially. I would also say that with Baron Samdi, be respectful as well. Because, do you really want to anger the guy who ferries people to and fro the living to the spiritual realm? Rose,
really, no.
Do you?
No, I don't want to piss anyone off.
So, that's that. And finally, a little fun fact. If anyone's a fan of James Bond, which I am, not necessarily Daniel Craig's James Bond, but if you're a fan of James Bond and you've seen Live and Let Die, then you know that Baron Samdi is actually a villain in that film. He was summoned by Mr. Big to put fear into people, and even though James shot him several times, he did not die. So, there's your little fun fact about Baron Samdi. And that, unfortunately, is all the time we have on this topic right now. But we will revisit this in the future, and I'm trying to put in the blue. Oh, I can't even think of the word. What do they call it? Blue plans, blue streaks, blueprints. Yes. In the blueprints, I'm going to actually get a real voodoo priestess on, So, and she can better discuss this, you know. So I thought that was super, super, super interesting. Or it will be super, super, super interesting. So fingers crossed I'm able to do that. But we're definitely going to revisit the voodoo topic because there's a lot more to it with the law and the families, the rituals, a lot more. But I do hope you enjoyed listening to us. I hope you learned something. Rose, any closing statements?
Please don't mess with anything you don't understand.
I can agree with that. You know, if you're curious about it, read up on it, study it, and find a real practitioner, because there's a lot of fakes out there, but find a real practitioner and learn from them. And with that said, remember, there are things that go bump in the night. Say hi to them. Bye, everybody.
Bye.